Thank you all so much for joining us tonight for the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin's Know Your Rights and Protest Safety Preparation webinar in advance of Saturday's No Kings Day. My name is Eileen Newcomer, and I am the Deputy Director of the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm going to pass it off to my colleagues who are helping out and co-presenting the webinar with me. Delaney, would you like to start?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Delaney Zimmer. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Voter Services Manager here at the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin. And I will hand it over to our colleague Sinceri to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here this evening. My name is Sinceri Dixon. I'm the Communications Manager with the League of Women Voters of Wisconsin. And again, we appreciate you being here tonight.
Awesome. And then before we jump into the content of tonight's webinar, I did want to make sure that everyone knew who the League of Women Voters is and what we're about. It's great to see some familiar names in the Zoom, but there's definitely a lot of people that I have not met before, and that is wonderful as well. So the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan nonprofit organization of women, men, and non-binary folks committed to empowering voters and defending democracy. The League of Women Voters is staunchly nonpartisan, meaning we don't support or oppose a candidate or party. And as a grassroots organization, the League is built from the ground up. We rely on the work of dedicated volunteers to do outreach and advocacy work in their communities, and there are 21 local leagues around the state of Wisconsin. And we welcome anyone who is committed to defending our democracy to get involved with us. I also wanted to share a few ground rules. We are so pleased to have so many people joining us tonight, but that also means there's more opportunity for noises and disruptions. So please be mindful to keep yourself muted so everyone can hear and we can get through the content tonight. Uh, be aware that disruptive people will be removed from the Zoom. We are also recording this call and we'll send the recording, slides, and resources to those who registered for the event. And please feel free to share the follow-up information with anyone who you think could benefit from the information. Next slide, please.
All right, so we're going to be covering tons of awesome information this evening. So let's just kind of start off with what we're going to be talking about tonight. So we'll discuss a little bit about how to find a No Kings rally near you. We just saw that there are 99 No Kings rallies here in Wisconsin. So there is absolutely a rally near you that you will be able to attend this weekend. We'll also talk a little bit about some Know Your Rights resources so that you are ready to go on Saturday and are informed about what your rights are as a protester, as a rally goer. We'll also talk a little bit about planning ahead and tips on what you can do to prepare ahead of Saturday, as well as safety tips while you're in attendance at the rally, and some additional planning tips and resources. We'll have a little bit of time for questions if you have any. And then we will also have time to share our posters that we are making for the rally. So we've been busy working on our own posters. We would love to help brainstorm messages for your posters. We would love to see yours if you already have made them. So we'll have a little time at the end to get creative. One thing we did want to make sure we noted was we here at the League of Women Voters are organizers. We are not lawyers. So all of the information that you are going to be hearing tonight is based on best practices. It is not legal advice. Next slide.
We've had a couple logos on the previous slides saying Unite and Rise 8.5, League of Women Voters of Wisconsin. And we wanted to demystify, what does that mean so that we have a shared understanding as well. So the reality is we are in a constitutional crisis and we're all joining these No Kings protests because we feel strongly that our rights are being violated and that we need to stand up and support each other. And that is exactly what Unite and Rise Wisconsin is. It's part of a larger national movement to mobilize 8.5 million people in a pro-democracy movement. Here in Wisconsin, our initiative is to visibly and boldly unite Wisconsinites in defense of our democracy through meaningful and peaceful engagements. We have four pillars as part of the initiative, including defending democracy and rejecting authoritarianism, empowering people with their rights and standing united in solidarity, standing up to protect human rights, with a special focus on protecting voting rights, ending mass deportation, and keeping families together, protecting reproductive rights, and protecting LGBTQ plus rights. And finally, we are daring to dream. We know that we didn't get into the situation because our democracy was perfect. There are plenty of problems that need to be addressed, but we need to make sure that we're addressing the real problems in our government rather than creating problems and then using them as an excuse to honestly go after American citizens and others who are in our country. So it's a little bit about the campaign. We're also extremely excited to say that the National League of Women Voters is a co-sponsor of the No Kings protests on Saturday, and that is one component and one activation within the Unite and Rise 8.5 campaign. Next slide, please. So why are we protesting? We're seeing escalating abuses of power. There are troops in our streets. Immigrant communities are being targeted. There's attacks on free speech. And overall, there are threats to our democracy. I know when I've been seeing people kind of engage on social media about the protests, a lot of people are like, what is this about? And I thought the ACLU did such a great job of just really cohesively putting together, what this movement is all about. And I also took heart when I saw the map of all of the No Kings protests that are planned across the country, and actually even internationally. There's some in Mexico and in other countries as well. So know that you are all in good company. This is a large scale movement, and we're really excited to be a part of it and look forward to seeing everyone out and about on Saturday. Next slide, please. We also are very committed to having a nonviolent movement, and we want to double down on that right now and share our statement that we've been putting out in response to the political violence that we've seen. The League of Women Voters condemns all forms of political violence. Violence of any kind has no place in our democracy. We stand firmly for peaceful civic engagement, respectful dialogue, and the protection of every individual's rights and safeties. Our democracy depends on participation free from intimidation, fear, or harm. And again, that's exactly why it's important that we step up, stand in solidarity with each other, and remember, solidarity protects us all. Keep that in mind. Next slide, please.
All right. So first off, we're going to start with making our plan. So one, you got to find a rally near you. I have just popped a link in the chat. That is the overall No Kings map. You can type in your zip code or your address, and it will find rallies near you. Pretty easy. I tried it earlier, found a few happening in the Madison area. So first we want to make our plan. We want to bring our friends and our family along with us. And we want to make sure that we are letting an emergency contact know what our plans are for the day. So here are just a few questions to start thinking about what your plan is going to be for Saturday. So where are you going? What rally are you attending? There might be several in your area. So you got to decide which one you want to go to. How are you going to get there? Are you going to drive? That, requires where are you going to park? Are you going to take the bus? Are you going to carpool with a friend or a family member? What time will you be there? There are rallies happening at all times of the day, so be sure to make sure you look at the time for each rally that you are planning to attend. They're not all happening at the exact same time. So what time do you want to get there, and what time do you intend to be home by the end of the day? Who are you going to go with? Have you invited your friends and your neighbors and your family members? Where do you intend to go if there's an emergency? These are important questions to be asking so that you're prepared for any scenario. So, maybe there's a local library or a restaurant or a municipal building that's near where the rally will be. That might be a safe place to go in the event that there's some kind of emergency and you need to be seeking some sort of shelter. Who will you contact in a case of an emergency? This is also important to know that your emergency contact should be written down and not necessarily on your phone. Our phones they have battery issues. They could have service sometimes. So we want to make sure that we memorize these numbers and that we also have them written down on a piece of paper, maybe even on your body itself, writing it on your hand or your arm. These can be really helpful to make sure that you know these numbers by heart so that we're not relying on the technology because sometimes technology can just fail us. Things get misplaced and you want to make sure you have these numbers ready to go. Next slide. All right, so next we want to gather our supplies. So between now and Saturday, you want to be thinking about, getting a water bottle together, maybe some snacks. You might end up be really in community that day, and you might end up, hanging out with some people after the rally. So you might get hungry. And water is always good. Make sure to check the weather too. I'm thinking it's going to warm up this weekend, so might be good to have some extra fluids with you. You'll want to make sure to fully charge your mobile devices. Consider bringing a battery extender if that's something you have. We also recommend that you set a PIN for your phone rather than using the facial recognition or the fingerprint. Again, we can lose our electronic devices. They can be glitchy. You never know what can happen. So having a PIN number that is important to you helps you to maintain the important things that are on that device. And then we also recommend turning off Bluetooth. This is a concern that you can be connected to other devices or other speakers or other things that folks are bringing with them to the rally, and we just don't need that. So we recommend turning off the Bluetooth as well. One thing to think about too is gathering some supplies to protect from and safely remove chemical irritants. This might include a face covering, some protective glasses or goggles, some cleansing towelettes. Again, with those emergency contact numbers, write them down. Don't rely on an electronic device. Make sure you got your posters, your rally signs, your noise makers, your rhythm sticks, whatever you're bringing with you, as well as some handouts. This is such a great opportunity to be in community with folks and get the word out about other great opportunities for people to be together. So maybe you have some Know Your Rights resources, you have flyers for future events. So this is a great opportunity. We also want to take into consideration what we're wearing. Comfortable shoes, comfortable clothing. Like I said, taking a look at the weather, it might be a little bit warmer, so we want to make sure we're comfortable. And you can make a statement with how you dress. Wear a t-shirt that has a fun saying on it, or wear a costume. We've seen people dress up as the Statue of Liberty. We've seen people dress up as suffragists. So get creative. This is a great time to make a statement with your clothing. Next slide.
All right, and then before we get into the Know Your Rights information, I did want to add just one more bit about your cell phone and the reason for setting up a PIN instead of using your facial recognition or fingerprint. And part of the reason for that is in the unlikely circumstance that you do engage with law enforcement, they can actually just hold up your phone to your face to unlock it or use your fingerprint to unlock it. And so if you switch it over to a PIN, they're not able to do that. So that is the rationale for that. Now into the Know Your Rights information. So we have a constitutional right under the First Amendment to assemble and to express our views through peaceful protest. I do want to note that there are some limitations around that. For example, police or government officials are allowed to place certain but narrow restrictions on the exercise of speech rights. This could include curfew in order or an order to disperse, but it must be law enforcement's last resort. So uh, keep that in mind. Some of the other rights that you should be aware of is that you do have the right to protest in public spaces, including streets, sidewalks, parks, as long as you're not blocking access or causing safety hazards. Now, you may be asked to, step aside so somebody can, walk on the sidewalk. That's fine. Just respond and, take a step back, and then you can move right back into your place. You also have the ability to take pictures of anything in plain view in any public space. This includes recording police and public officials as long as you don't interfere with their duties. Now, if anybody is joining us from outside Wisconsin, I do want to say be aware of your state's recording laws. Wisconsin is a one-party consent state. So if you're recording something and you consent to yourself recording that, that meets the requirement here in Wisconsin. But again, in the sense of safety, if you are recording something or taking pictures, best practice is to make sure you have permission from people before you share that content publicly. There are, reasons why certain people would not want their face seen, on social media or to go viral, and we definitely want to be respectful of that as well. And use your best judgment and just do your best. Another thing to know is that you do not have to show an ID unless you're driving or have been lawfully detained. And you do have the right to remain silent. So if you're questioned by the police, you can just say, I'm exercising my right to remain silent and let it stand at that. You also don't have to consent to a search. They don't have the right to look inside your bag. Unless they have a warrant. So if that's something that you encounter, you can politely say, I do not consent to a search, and then move on from there. Next slide, please. We also wanted to share some safety tips. While we have the slide on the screen, though, I want to encourage everyone to take out their phones real quick, save the No Kings host hotline into your phone. It's the phone number 301-973-0013. And this number is a resource for people participating in No Kings to call and ask questions, problem solve, and flag emerging safety issues or security issues. Now, some of you may be hosts of No Kings rallies in your local communities. If you're not a host, use this line sparingly, right? We don't want to flood them with questions that you could look up online or things like that. But we did want to make sure to share it with you so that you have it in your back pocket in case you need it, especially in case there is an emerging security issue. Let's see. And something that is, I know I found it interesting and heartening to know that there have been record levels of protest activity this year, and these demonstrations have been overwhelmingly peaceful. And that sets the stage for low likelihood of violence this weekend. No Kings is supported by strong organizer norms of nonviolence, and we do expect you all to continue that streak of nonviolent protest, nonviolent and peaceful protest. But we do, obviously want to make sure that everyone is aware that there is some risk involved in going out and protesting, especially as things have been developing. They can develop really fast. Also, depending on where you decide to go, that may also change the situation for you. So you need to do your own risk assessment of the location that you're going. Please do pay attention to local news and, make your plans accordingly. And just to, kind of put that in a little bit more concrete perspective, like there's a No Kings rally in Ashland, Wisconsin. It's a fairly small town. It's up north. There's not lots of big cities by it. Probably going to be a little bit more low key than, let's say, Milwaukee, for example, or there's going to be more people in Milwaukee. And then if you compare that to, I know I have some friends who are planning on going down to Chicago. And that situation, is a lot more tense than even what we're seeing in Wisconsin. So just, again, make sure you do your homework, research where you're going, know the risks, and and plan accordingly. Some safety tips to consider while you are at the No Kings rally. Definitely be alert and pay attention to your surroundings. Use the buddy system. It's always more fun to go to these events with people, and it's also a great opportunity to do community building and meet people who are also attending the rally with you. The buddy system also can help you make sure, hey, are you good? Am I good? Okay. And sometimes it's just like if you get a weird feeling, it's nice to like gut check that against somebody that you trust. Do not engage with agitators. So there is potential for there to be counter protesters or people, who just drive by and roll down their window and yell at you or something like that. Do not engage with these people. Um, Turn your back to them or walk away if you have to. We want to make sure the focus is on the message that we are trying to express to the public. Plan ahead, make an exit plan, and have a meeting place. So if you and your buddy get separated, you have a time and a location that you're going to meet up to make sure that you're both good. If for some reason there is a situation where things have escalated around you and you don't have a pathway to leave that location, one suggestion is to sit down, and that can be a clear, visible indication that like, hey, I'm here, hey, I'm peaceful, I'm not part of, the chaos that's happening right here, and that it's a best practice to have in your back pocket in case something does happen. And then we do encourage you to follow de-escalation best practices. We will get into that in a future slide. Um, Now, in the unlikely situation where law enforcement approaches you, definitely stay calm, keep your hands visible, and then ask them, am I free to go? And if they say yes, just walk away slowly. You do not have to talk to law enforcement just because they want to talk to you. If you are detained or arrested, don't resist. Ask for a lawyer and then express your desire to use your right to remain silent and document what happened when you can. Another thing to note, if for some reason officers issue a dispersal order, they must provide a reasonable opportunity for you to comply, including sufficient time and a clear, unobstructed pathway for you to exit. So please do keep that in mind. Keep your eyes and ears open. Make sure you're listening and following the advice of the folks who are there to help you navigate safely through the day. Next slide, please. So some safety tips and to go into the de-escalation best practices. As I mentioned, there likely will be folks there identified as a safety team. Most No Kings protests do have trained a trained safety team who are easily identifiable. Pay attention to where they're located, notify them if you see something, and follow their guidance. If you do see something, remember the ABCs of assessing a situation. A, assess what is happening. B, remember to breathe to keep yourself calm. Make sure that you're using your you're thinking through things clearly. You're, coming in with a clear head. C, choose if you are going to get involved and if you're going to get involved, how. And then D, de-escalate using best practices. And what are some of the de-escalation best practices? First one is to delay. Maybe you can wait it out. So if somebody is driving by and they're yelling out their window, they got places to be. They'll keep driving. So just ignore it and, and keep doing what you're doing. And this may also kind of give you a chance to like suss it out and see what's going on. The second best practice is to delegate. So in the situation, if there's a safety team, uh, inform them. They're well trained, they know what they're doing, and they will be able to best guide you through and also de-escalate the situation. Three is to distract. So this can be interrupting or redirecting attention to diffuse the tension in the situation. An interruption can look like, oh, hey, I like your sign. Oh, hey, I like your t-shirt. And just, change the conversation topic so that it redirects the conversation. The fourth D of de-escalation is distance. So create physical space and prioritize your safety. This can look like, you moving from one side of the park over to the other side of the park. Or it can also look like you creating a physical barrier between an aggressor and somebody who is, being targeted in that action. So think that through. The fifth one is to make sure that you're documenting what you see. We have another slide to kind of go into what the best practices around documentation. And then if you feel that the best course of action is direct intervention, stay calm, stay respectful, do not touch anyone, and do what you can to de-escalate the situation. And just remember, keep in mind, our goal is not to convince or persuade agitators. So if people are out there with a different message, that's fine. They have free speech rights just like we do. Our goals are to express our First Amendment rights, to build community with one another, and have a successful event. Do not give agitators the attention they seek. We want the reports out of No King's Day to be about the message and not about agitators and what they did or did not do during the event. Next slide, please. And what does it look like to document what you see? So in the unlikely situation that you see something that rises to the needing de-escalation, or there is an emergency on the No King's Day at the location that you're at, do your best to document what has happened. Make a note of the time, the date, and location of the significant events. Write down what happened. Were there law enforcement actions? Was it protester actions? Was anyone injured? Things like that. Details of that kind of taking down those details is very important for any follow-up that would happen. Make a note about who was involved, get names, badge numbers. If it's law enforcement, the agency that they work for, try to record license plates, any identifying clothing, etc. Also, document the outcome. What happened? Was somebody injured? Was somebody arrested? Were you asked to disperse? Make a note of that as well. And then if you can, try to talk to other witnesses of the situation and get their contact information so that they can be followed up with as well to help verify uh, the truth in what you are documenting. And then take photos and videos as appropriate. So once you've done the documentation, what do? Make sure to back up your notes and any footage or videos, photos that you take securely as soon as possible, and then report incidents promptly to legal support, such as ACLU of Wisconsin or the coordinating organization. You can report it to that uh, host hotline that we shared on the previous screen as well. And just remember, some information is better than none. So if you can't document all of these pieces, it's okay. Do what you can, do your best, and remember to give yourself some grace in the situation as well. Next slide, please.
All right, so we've got some additional planning tips and resources here. We're going to send all of these links out in a follow-up email, so you'll be able to go through all of them at your leisure. Just wanted to highlight a couple. There will be a couple on here where you can print out the resource, the Know Your Rights resource itself, and bring it to the rally with you. Bring a couple copies to hand out to folks. So we've got a protest pocket guide, our Know Your Rights from the ACLU. It has a printed, it's like a little pocket sized, business card sized Know Your Rights resource. So we'll be sending all of these out to you guys so that you can take a look at all of them before Saturday's rally. Next slide. Also wanted to give just an update about a really fantastic event that's happening tomorrow at the Wisconsin Capitol on the stairs of the State Street entrance. So we are having a rally to end gerrymandering. So Wisconsin needs legislation to ensure that we've got fair voting maps for future generations. So we are heading to the Capitol tomorrow to rally around showing our legislators that we're not going to wait around. And now is the time to act on fair maps. So if you're around tomorrow at noon in the Madison area, we'd love to see you. You can bring signs, but we'd also just love to see your presence. Yeah, thank you so much.
Sincere, we're going to pass it over to you to lift up any questions that have come in through the chat.
Oh, okay, sounds good. So, well, there was a question earlier. Doreen asked if we legally have to hand over our phones if I'm assuming the question was if asked by police. So Jamie Croft, who is experienced, responded, if you're not under arrest and there's no warrant, generally you should not have to turn anything over, but there are exceptions to every rule, and correct procedure is not always followed in the moment.
Do we want to invite Jamie if she's on to maybe come off mute and just share her thoughts?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Of course, I'm getting a phone call right now. Sorry about that. Yeah, and I'll preface this, I'm not a lawyer in Wisconsin, but I was a constitutional lawyer in a former life. And so, yeah, generally, under the Fourth and Fifth Amendment, um, your phone really should not be confiscated. Without a warrant, unless you're being arrested, and it will be taken with other personal effects if when someone is arrested. Still, even if someone is under arrest, generally, the cops should be required to get a warrant to search your phone, even though you're in custody, because they need to have a reason to search your phone. Just being arrested doesn't mean that there's evidence of crime on a phone. And so that's where, the using a PIN, et cetera, fits in. And then let's see, what was the other part? Yeah, I also just wanted to echo Nick Ramos, what he said in the chat about how you can always just kind of calmly ask if the person who's asking for your phone has a warrant. And similarly, you can also ask if you are being arrested or detained. And if the answer to that is no, then you should be free to leave. And so the next question you ask can be, am I free to leave? And then, of course, all that said, your own safety is always most important. So know your rights, but also, consider what you feel safe doing.
Thank you so much, Jamie and Nick, for being our safety net. We really appreciate you.
If anyone else has any questions at this time, please put them in the chat. I think we'll give it a couple minutes to see if any other questions appear. Otherwise, Eileen, do you want to continue forward?
Yeah, let's continue forward and go into let's share the poster information slide, and then we can jump into the little workshop that we have. And if anyone has questions, just pop them in the chat. We can always turn back to them as well.
All right, so hopefully you've got some markers and maybe some poster board nearby that you can pull out. We thought now would be a great time to be with each other in this virtual space to brainstorm some ideas for some great signs for this weekend. We put a few examples up on the slide here, that ones that we have seen from past rallies that have really been great. And No Kings also created this great list on the corner of the screen of a whole bunch of ideas for some slogans to put on rally signs, which are all really fantastic. We want to make sure that we're sending a good message with our signs, that we're, staying true to our own values. So, if healthcare is something that's really important to you, maybe doing a sign about healthcare, hands off Medicare, hands off Medicaid, something like that. So really think about what your values are right now and things that you're seeing that are being attacked, and put those into practice on your rally sign.
And I love that we're getting some more chatter in the chat.
Yeah,
Um,
feel free to put more ideas for rally signs in the chat. I'd love to see what people are coming up with.
yes, and I love if you have other best practices that you want to share with each other, now's a great time as well. There's a great one that is, just to practice your response in case news media comes up to you and says, "Hey, why are you here?" And having, a simple message like one of these on the screen can be, just that quick sound bite that they're looking for about why you're there. And then we did have a question about if making a lot of noise is considered disturbing the peace, and at what point does it reach that level? Um, Jamie, if you're still on, I would love to have you answer this question. Oh, maybe she took that phone call. Nick, do you have any thoughts here?
Re-say the question.
Yes. Um, is making a lot of noise considered disturbing the peace? And I guess at what point is a lot of noise considered disturbing the peace?
Yeah, wow. Very subjective, I would say. Because I mean, you're allowed to chant and be excited and all that good stuff. I think when it crosses, I mean, it's going to depend case by case. But like, I remember in the last No Kings rally, a few people got picked up. I don't know if it was for disturbing the peace necessarily, but you know, if you're being belligerent and you're trying to cause a scene that makes it uncomfortable for people, then like the police or other folks might want to stop you. But in the traditional sense of showing up to a rally or a protest and being excited and sharing that energy, like that shouldn't constitute a reason for them to then hit you with a disturbing the peace um, citation, or even try and bring you in for that. It's just like, don't be going up to random people with a bullhorn yelling in their face, or shooting off fireworks or playing music obnoxiously loud. Like, those are the things that cops and law enforcement folks, they will definitely want you to, especially if people are complaining about you, then you got to be worried about, well, okay, I could get smacked with this.
Yep, and I just want to add, I personally have been to a number of protests this year alone, let alone, previous ones, and people are always chanting. I bring my rhythm sticks. I think it kind of helps add to the chant so that people kind of know the beat. Also, my voice does not carry, so it's one way for me to be a little bit louder than I naturally am. And I've seen people out there with drums, so it really hasn't been a problem so far. So I wouldn't be too worried about the noise part of this.
We had a
Um,
question about whether or not there is a known anticipated response or reaction to this weekend's rallies by the current administration.
None to share at this time, but they know that they will be watching, and that, that's part of why we're doing this, right? Is we want them to know that we know that we're watching. All right, well, should we stop sharing the slides? And if anybody has any posters that they're working on or want to share with each other, please do lift it up and let us see what you got going. I'm happy to share mine. So I painted a piece of cardboard and then used markers. And then because I wanted to add the league to it, I just added a league sticker. And so, there's simple, easy ways to represent organizations that are near and dear to your heart and let people know that you're a proud member of them, whether it's the League of Women Voters, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, or another organization that you happen to be a part of. So, oh, I see a great idea about bringing flags. So whether it's an American flag that you have, I've seen people bring their pride flags out, and it can be a way to just add that visual layer to the rallies or to the events that you're going to. All right. Well, I mean, that's all the content that we have for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you want to hang out and make posters together, feel free to do so. Otherwise, feel free to jump off and enjoy the rest of your evening. We look forward to being in community with you all on Saturday.